Hey guys, welcome back to the African Comic Guy. It's been a minute, but you know what? I'm just enjoying the holiday season. I hope you are as well. Happy holidays to all of you out there. Merry Christmas. And for those of you that that celebrate and embrace this holiday season, it's fun, right? It's to me, it's my best time of the year. People are nice and friendly most of the time this time of the year, and there's just something going around that just makes this time of the year, I don't know, just chill. So I've been chilled, but I've been definitely looking forward to coming back and sharing more about the comic world. And today we're actually about to talk about Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom that I just got done watching, and I was pleasantly surprised with this movie. Really pleasantly surprised. And we're about to talk about it because I really kind of felt this conversation was going to go a different way before I watched this movie. But it's going a different way. It's going another way. So let's talk about it. Now, again, I talked about this a few weeks ago, how, I didn't really have a lot of expectations coming into this movie. And a lot of it is because we've had a lot of really trash DC movies over the last year and a half, and the only good movie that came out this year was Blue Beetle. And even though it didn't really do good numbers in the movie theaters, it did outstandingly well streaming. And it was actually the last month and a half has been one of the most watched movies out there, and which tells you, number one, people like the story, but it also tells you that Warner Brothers and DC Studios didn't really do a good job marketing that movie. So a lot of people didn't go out to watch it, but they really liked it streaming wise. But yeah, so I didn't really have a lot of expectations because this year we had movies that bombed. I mean, starting off with Shazam, Fury of the Gods, that movie was a trash movie. It was a disgrace. And then the Flash movie that came after, that one was just purely embarrassment because I don't think I've seen a movie bomb so bad that was so hyped, So coming into Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, I didn't really know what to expect. I knew that this movie wasn't going to be great. So I expected it to either be okay or bad. And again, I was pleasantly surprised because I remember watching Shazam, Fear and the Gods, and a quarter into it, I wanted to walk out. The Flash, halfway through it, I don't even know what to say about that movie. But again, being a DC fan, I sat there and watched these horrible movies. And then I was pleasantly surprised with Blue Beetle. I actually really enjoyed Blue Beetle. So coming into Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, I didn't really know what to expect. And I feel good. I feel good. Being that this is the end of the DCEU, this is the culmination of the DCEU, this being the last movie in this universe. This movie was actually pretty good. It was pretty okay. Let me not say pretty good. It was pretty okay. And I honestly enjoyed it. I really did. Outside of a few mishaps that we're about to talk about, I honestly enjoyed this movie. And I found it to be fun. I found it to be funny. I found that the plot was okay. So the storytelling was okay for this movie. Outside of just a few things that we're about to talk about, I really did think this movie was okay. This was a nice movie, a nice family movie, and I honestly enjoyed it. So let's talk about a few of the things I didn't like and with the things that I did like. Hopefully no spoilers. So there might be one or two. So spoiler alert. But yeah, so let's talk about the things that really didn't leave a lot to be desired. And it's a lot of common things that we've seen within the last movies, not only in DC but Marvel. So let's talk about that. So this movie was actually plagued. Well, not let me not say plagued, but it had a few issues that have been common issues actually with a lot of previous DC and Marvel movies of late, and one being CGI. So this movie had a few places where CGI looked really bad, and which was actually surprising because a lot of these studios have money, they budget a lot for CGI, and then coming from the previous movie where that movie was so good even visually, and a lot of those visuals are CGI. I mean, you look at Avatar 99% of it is CGI, but it's really hard to tell. They spend so much time perfecting the CGI, and you would assume a studio as big as Warner Brothers would do the same. But yeah, so there are scenes where you could actually see the CGI lacked a lot, and it was a little frustrating because we know there's been reshoots, right? We know that there's been edits and whatever, because this movie was supposed to come out last year. So we know this has been there. So it was a little frustrating to see some of these CGI issues in this movie. Being the last movie, you would assume they would they would clean it up, but they really didn't. So like if you're a stickler for perfection, they'll bother you. They will bother you. So yeah, a few parts in the movie, the CGI really didn't work. Another thing that you're going to notice is with the fact that we knew that there were reshoots, right, and constant editing over the last 2 years, especially in the beginning, you could tell that they were mixing and matching scenes, right? So you could tell that either this movie was short, or these scenes were shot recently, and some not so recent, and then bringing them together. So moving from one scene to another, you could see it's almost like a skip. You know what I mean? And if for those of you that really focus on those kind of things, you'll see it. If you're really detailed and you critically notice certain aspects of a movie, you'll actually get to see that. And again, to me, it happened mostly in the beginning. So you'll notice a lot of that in the beginning. But then moving forward, I think the movie really saved itself because even though it felt like it was dragging in the beginning, that story, it felt like it was really walking, you know what I mean? But it felt more like dragging in the beginning. And then gradually, as the movie progressed, as the story basically now started shaping up, you could now see, okay, now this is starting to go somewhere. And this movie was fun. This is like a huge part of this movie is almost like a bromance between Arthur and his brother. I'm not going to give out a lot of spoilers, but it was really fun to see that. You know what I mean? Coming from where they came from as enemies to this movie where they're really trying to develop their relationship as brothers. And obviously it starts with a lot of issues in the beginning and ends in a really nice way. But in between, trying to really work on this story, it was really fun. It was fun to watch those two actually not only get along but actually work together. So it's going to be fun for you to watch. And then also it was fun to watch the villain. I think he was more pronounced in this movie. You could tell that he's embracing his evil side to like the nth, 10th, whatever degree. You know what I mean? And he is dialed up to like a million. And he's really brutal and evil in this movie. But it was so fun to watch. It was so fun to watch. And Black Manta in this movie. And I love the fact that we got to see a different version of Black Manta embracing a different evil inside of him. And I think James Wan, the director, really told a good story. Really try to connect a lot of what we've seen in a lot of the graphic stuff in Aquaman comics, especially when it comes to Black Manta. It was really fun to watch. So you're going to really love these stories playing together. And, another cool thing you're going to notice, I think, in this movie is the fact that, like her or don't like her, Amber Heard in this movie, Mira, she had a few scenes in this movie. It's funny, like we were led to believe that she would almost be non-existent in this movie, but she is present. And regardless of how you feel about her from her recent issues, um, these two always had chemistry. They always did. And it's undeniable. And you can still see it in this movie. Even though she really didn't get a lot of scenes. She had more scenes than I thought she was going to get, honestly. But you could still see chemistry with these two characters, with Aquaman and Mira. You could definitely see the chemistry that we saw in the first movie that worked so well. And there was a reason why that movie made over $1 billion. A huge part of it was this connection and chemistry we saw with these two, and it continues with this movie, even though again she really doesn't have a lot of runtime in this movie, but you still saw it in the moments that they were together, in the scenes that she came out. Again, she's badass, and again, everybody in this movie is badass. I love the fact that they use a lot of humor in this movie, way more than the previous movie, but it actually worked. It wasn't overly saturated. It didn't make you feel like kind of like watching the last Guardians of the Galaxy. There was just too much humor. Thor, Love and Thunder. Too much humor that didn't really work. It didn't feel organic. In this movie, it really did. And if you know Jason Momoa, you know him, and he brings out humor in a different way. At the same time, being totally badass. A lot of people said, he looked fat. In this movie, he actually did look fit. He didn't really look like he was out of shape. He looked fit and physical. Along with his brother Orm. They were both physical. So it was fun. It was honestly a fun movie to watch. I love the fact that a lot of the characters that you saw, outside of one, and I won't mention who because it's a spoiler alert, one major character coming from the previous Aquaman movie is not here, is not in the movie. Something happened. You're gonna watch the movie to find out. But it was fun. It was you could tell something was missing, and I think being such a big character from the previous movie, especially being part of Aquaman's life, I think he was definitely missed. But again, this is the culmination of the DCEU. This movie is actually supposed to be the last movie that is in this universe, in the DCEU universe. And as sad as that is to say, I'm glad that this movie. I don't know how it's going to do. I know critics are killing it, fans are loving it. So I don't know where it's going to go as far as financially. I don't know. I hope it does well. I hope it breaks even, or probably a little more. But being the last movie, I'm glad this was the last movie, and not like The Flash. If The Flash was the last movie, oh my God, I'd be frustrated. But, I think they did a great job with what they had. They did create a good movie. It's honestly a really good movie. I give this movie 3 out of 5. I can't really give it. I can't give it a 5 out of 5 or 4 out of 5, but I'll give it a 3 out of 5. I really believe this is a good movie. It's a really good, fun family movie. You could go watch it with your kids. But again, this is the last movie in the DCEU. And I honestly thought especially at the end where Aquaman basically reveals himself, in a different way. You'll get it if you watch the movie. I really thought we'd get cameos or the original DCEU. Henry Cavill as Superman, Batman, Ben Affleck, Ezra Miller as the Flash, Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, and obviously Ray Fisher as Cyborg. I really thought we would get to see them at the end of this movie and basically sum it all up, sum the DCEU all up. As we were led to believe Ben Affleck was supposed to cameo, so I don't know what happened. So I don't know why. I really held out hope that we would get to see all those characters just one last time. But they were not there. So it's not even a spoiler. They weren't there. And if there's one disappointment in this movie, and that was my disappointment, because Again, this is not coming from the only character in the DCEU that we had heard probably would make a cameo in this movie was Ben Affleck's version of Batman, my best Batman. But so that was my disappointment. I felt sad watching this movie. Um, there are no there are two post credit scenes, but not leading up to any movie. They're an extension of the last scene of the movie, so they're not really post credit scenes. But yeah, that's the only part that I was disappointed about, and I really wish that they had incorporated that aspect just to basically, sum up the DCEU. Oh my God, the DCU is over. How sad is it? Or is it? There's some things happening in Netflix. They're talking about it. They're talking about it. Come on, Netflix. Come on, Netflix. Buy the licensing. Come on. Allow him to finish his masterpiece. Allow us to just, it's almost like therapy. Allow us to just, I don't know. Just allow us to really bask in the DCEU one last time. But anyway, with that being said, again, I sum it all up saying this. I was pleasantly surprised with this movie. I honestly enjoyed it. I think that a lot of you are gonna like it. 3 out of 5 will like it. 2 of you won't. It's just, I really believe that. 3 out of 5 will like it. Some of you won't. And even though at the movie theater, the theater that I was in was almost full, I was actually surprised. I remember watching The Flash. I had a row to myself, So there were actually people there. The movie theater was almost full, and I watched it on IMAX. So I really enjoyed it. I didn't expect to. So I'm glad that I liked this movie and I enjoyed it. And I hope you guys do as well. So again, go watch it. If you're a DCEU fan, go watch it. It's the last movie in the DCEU universe, or is it? If you're a fan of Aquaman, go. It's really fun. It's really entertaining. You're going to like it. You really are. So 3 out of 5, okay movie. Pleasantly surprised. Can't wait to see you guys on the next African Comic Guy, where I review Rebel Moon, which comes out tonight. So look out for another review tomorrow. It's been the African Comic Guy. Signing out, guys. Peace.